It is my honor to introduce our next speaker. This is someone who I call a dear colleague and friend, Steve Garvin. Steve thought his story was worthless until he discovered that he was playing a role that wasn't even his own. So, when he became the author of his own story, Steve's self-worth and self-compassion escalated to unknown heights. He now helps authors and speakers enrich their story. Steve's presentation tonight is titled From Coal Dust to Diamonds: Enhance the Richness of Your Story Through the 7 Principles of Prosperity. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Olivia. I hope that each of you, no matter how much time you've been able to spend with us the last couple of days, have felt like I have, in that your heart has expanded and it has been filled by these wonderful messages that are helping us to sing our heart song. As Olivia shared in her introduction of me, there was a time when I did not think very much, or even, to be honest, at all about what my heart song might be. I thought instead of 2 things. One, how can I be better? How can I be enough when I did not feel like I was enough? And how could I support my growing family? I have 4 children. I've now been married for 28 years. I had finally reached a pinnacle of my career success, or was on my way at least. I'd gotten my master's degree in accounting. I was getting, honestly, it wouldn't have surprised me if Olivia would have called me at the time as a recruiter, because I was getting calls from recruiters all the time inviting me to consider other options and to use my skills at other places. And so it felt pretty good to have skills like that were in demand, where people recognized me as being able to provide solutions that they needed to have. And a lot of my friends looked at me in my life and thought that, I had it made, that I was living the life that they wished that they could live. What they didn't know was that on Sunday evening, I would be in fetal position, rocking in the hallway with tears streaming down my face because I knew I had to go into a job that I did not want to go into. And on that 45-minute commute from our home to my place of employment was the longest drive that I've ever been on, and I've driven across the country numerous times. Especially since my wife was from Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm from the Pacific Northwest. So we go from one corner to the other, but those journeys were not nearly as long as the 45-minute drive to work. And I had just solved a problem that had been causing problems in the accounting department for a while. I replaced a bunch of databases in a kind of a jerry-rigged system with a system that could provide the answer in 15 minutes rather than 3 days. The problem was I forgot about one little cell on a tab that was further in, and it caused us to have to rewrite the books in a matter of several $100,000. And that made me go from the hero of the department to the zero of the department. And I felt about as high as the knees on a grasshopper. My body knew that I needed a change, but my mind did not open the doors to what my body knew. I actually constricted whooping cough, and I would cough so hard that I'd black out and just pass out. And I took off time from work per doctor's order for about 5 weeks, went back to work a week early, thinking that I was doing my department a favor. And when I returned to work, my boss didn't speak to me for 3 days. And what she finally did was to pull me into her office with the HR director and read me a long list of all the possible things that she could imagine I was doing wrong at work. And that feeling of being knee-high to a grasshopper, suddenly I felt like a squished grasshopper. I did not feel like my work, that my life had any meaning, that I could, that my family was better off without me than with me. So the next morning, my intention was to enable them to cash in on my life insurance policy by me taking the exit. And kind of like Dan shared, I'm known by some as being a funny guy, and I feel like I've just kind of like sucked the energy, the air out of the room. And that was a terrible moment in my life. It was a really dark moment in my life, but it was actually also a beautiful moment in my life that I today am incredibly grateful for, because that failure, that mistake opened up the doors for all kinds of new possibilities for me. If I was no longer going to fill the role that I felt forced to fill, that I felt I had no choice about filling, and instead I had the opportunity to start to listen to my heart, to start to listen to the whisperings of my emotions, which I had suppressed for so long, and started to explore my creative expression. When I left that corporate environment, I turned to art, and I'd always looked at art and always loved art, but I'd always loved art from a distance. I'd always loved art as a spectator, not as a participator. My dad was a watercolor painter. He did some lovely work. And as a kid, I would look at his work and think, no way would I ever be able to rise to that height. I had friends who were artists, and same thing. They've got the talent, and I'll just kind of be the Robin to the Batman. I'll be the sidekick, not the star of the show, because I don't have the talents or the abilities to perform in the way that they performed. And consequently, I suppressed my urges to express, to write, to draw, to eventually, and since today, I do cartooning, I do photography, I write poetry, I write books, I speak. I'm still not to the point yet, maybe with a few more of these Sing Your Heart Song Summits, I might actually get to the point where I'm singing, but right now that's kind of a far stretch from where I am right now. But I'm opening up to listening to the song that is playing within my heart and starting to give voice to the message and the story that has brought me such joy and such fulfillment, such that now, while I used to cry Sunday evenings because I knew I had to go into work the next day, I now am delighted to wake up Monday mornings and get back to work, because I love what I'm doing and the people that I am able to spend time with. So, how do you go from coal dust to diamonds? Let me share my story with you, what I've learned along the way. And I want to thank those who helped contribute to this. Thank you, Marcy, for helping me to figure out how to create a better environment in which to tell my story. So one of the things that I know about going from coal dust to diamonds is that coal and diamonds actually are made largely out of carbon. Coal actually has a whole bunch of other stuff mixed in, and diamonds are much more pure, and they withstand a little bit more, well, a lot more pressure and take a little bit more work. But when you put in that work, you can turn coal dust into diamonds. So from a monetary perspective, remember I was an accountant before, so I like to talk numbers sometimes. A ton, 2,000 pounds of coal costs about $50 to $100 per ton. So you can get a whole lot of coal for not a whole lot of money. Whereas a 1 carat, quote unquote, perfect diamond costs $7,000 to $12,000. And if you were to take that one perfect diamond and have a ton worth of them, you would actually have about 4.5 million diamonds to fill up that ton. So the difference between coal and diamonds from a chemical perspective isn't much, but from a value perspective is huge. And one of the things that gives diamonds their worth is that they are pretty unique. Just like someone said during the summit that, I think it was actually Marcy, so thank you again for that, where she said, you are an original, so why show up as a duplicate? When we stop trying to be a duplicate, when we stop trying to fit in with the coal and be amongst all those others who are just trying to fit in, and instead let our radiance shine, then our value increases dramatically. One of the things that I really want to point out is that our value isn't just in financial terms. We are actually creating value by helping more people. We're creating a richer experience for others to participate in. And that value that we are bringing can show up in lots of different ways. So what is your worth? Was that what the thinker was thinking when Rodin created this sculpture? Have you ever thought, what is your worth? When I considered and thought about my worth, and when I was at my lowest point and felt like my worth was nothing, actually, I was worth more, the framework that I put it in was that I was worth more dead than I was alive. I didn't think very highly of my worth. I was basing my worth largely on this principle that my net worth determined my self-worth, which reflected my true worth. I thought it was all measured in dollars, that if my bank account did not reflect the value that I want to be creating in the world, then that in turn meant that I wasn't worth much myself. And that left me feeling pretty sad, pretty down, because when I looked in the mirror, as our previous two speakers have been speaking about, literally when I looked in the mirror, I came to the realization after a while, and this is probably after 40 years of being a human. Whenever I looked in the mirror, I'd make faces at myself, and they were not very positive or very encouraging faces. It was like I did not want to see that person in the mirror. I did not want to be that person in the mirror. And by spending a little bit of time with that person in the mirror, rather than scowling or making goofy faces or whatever, if I would just simply smile at the person in the mirror, if I would simply enjoy being with the person in the mirror, then I felt a whole lot better. And that dark cloud that I'd been hanging out under for so long began to dissipate. And the sun began to come forth. And what I realized is that our net worth isn't what our worth is based on. We all have incredible worth, no matter what we might show in our bank accounts, no matter what we might show in our social media following, no matter what we may show as far as what work we did today. We always have incredible worth from day one. You know, think about a little baby. My daughter recently acquired 2 guinea pigs. And one of those guinea pigs happened to have 4 little guinea pigs within probably less than a month ago. And those 4 little guinea pigs, my daughter, who is 23, so she's not a little kid, thinks the world of. She gives incredible worth to those little guinea pigs. And the same is true for us. When we were little babies and our mothers held us in her arms, our mother saw the incredible worth that we had at that time. Even if we had nothing in any bank account, even if we had never written a sentence in our life, even if we couldn't crawl across the room, even if we couldn't say anything intelligent, we had incredible worth. And I'm wondering, what would life be like if we started to live from that place? If we started to live from recognizing that where we are right now, where we are today, no matter what we may have done or what we may yet do, we have incredible worth. That if we operated from the point of the perspective of we have, just like a raw diamond, which honestly doesn't look much like much. It doesn't honestly look that different from a piece of coal, other than the colors are different. A raw diamond, if you were to stumble across it, you probably wouldn't recognize it. I know I wouldn't. It would just be another stone that I found somewhere. And I've got lots of stones lying around my house because everywhere we go as a family, we always come back with a pocket full of stones. And we might have picked up a diamond or two along the way without even knowing it, because it had never been pointed out to us what we held in our hands. And so, how do we begin to develop our worth? How do we begin to share our story in such a way that we recognize our worth and we start sharing our worth, start sharing our heart song with others so that they can feel and experience and sense that beautiful story that we have within us? The first principle of the 7 principles of prosperity is authenticity. In other words, what are your blessings? And here, I want to actually open up the room and have you guys come off of mute. Thanks for being here, Dan. And let's create a story. Let's create a story that is worth untold fortune. And in order for us to do that, we need to give some shape to this story. So the first question is, who is this story about? Give me a name, let's just start with a name. Who is this story about? And it could be anything. It could be Rip Van Winkle. It could be John McDonald.
Teresa.
Just give me a name.
Teresa, the guardian angel.
Teresa, the guardian angel. Okay. So our story is about Teresa, the guardian angel. What does Teresa, the guardian angel, want more than anything? If she were to listen to her heart song, what would her heart song be telling her?
Have faith.
Have faith. Okay. So Teresa, the guardian angel, when she listens to our heart song, hears have faith. Now, as all of you have probably experienced, when you listen to your heart song and then you go out the next morning and you get back to life, and if your experience is anything like mine and the people that I've worked with, we have this high point moment where we hear our heart song and we hear have faith. And then we go to bed, we wake up in the morning, the alarm clock goes off, and we remember, oh my gosh, I've got to feed the cat, and I've got to, go take the garbage out, and I've got a flat tire on my car, and there's all kinds of stuff that I've got to deal with. There are always challenges that keep us from being able to see our authentic blessings clearly. What keeps Teresa, the guardian angel, from seeing faith clearly? And it could be anything. Could be she's got gout. It could be she's got a toothache. Just give me an answer.
Perhaps she's blind.
Blind. Oh, that's a good one. Is she physically blind or otherwise blind?
She's blinded by worry.
Blinded by worry. Okay. And what does she worry about?
I'm waiting for John because John put worry in.
So John,
Children.
she worries about her children.
Mm.
Thank you, Kathy. And she worries about what other people will think of her. Any mothers or parents out there who worry about what other people will think about them because of their children? I'm worrying about my child right now who is coughing very badly, she tells me. So I'll send my daughter, well, my child Joy, some good energy so they recover. So Teresa, the guardian angel, is called upon to have faith, but when she wakes up in the morning, she's blinded by worry about her children and what other people will think about her. But when she listens a little bit more closely, she decides that rather than focusing on the worry, rather than focusing on what other people might think about her, she is instead going to see what having faith will bring into her life. So how does she exercise just an eensy weensy bit of faith in order to listen to her heart song? And just for some perspective, one of the things that I latched onto in my journey from being severely depressed to loving my life was this idea that if I could just make 1% incremental improvement, if I could just make one improvement in my day over the day that I had before, that over the course of time, over the course of a year, if you make a 1% incremental improvement every day for a year, you actually have a 3,800% overall improvement. So 1% by itself does not seem like much, but cumulatively, it makes a humongous difference. So what is the little bit of difference that Teresa, the guardian angel, is going to make today in order to create a greater sense of self-worth and value for herself and her community? How is today going to be better than yesterday? You've always got good answers, John. So she's going to introduce some dietary fiber into her diet. What are some other possibilities that Teresa, the guardian angel, can do today to make today better than yesterday? And look at your own life. What is one thing that you can do today or tomorrow that will make that day better than the day before? And it doesn't have to be huge. It could be 5 minutes of journaling in the morning. It could be, as I have one of my clients doing, she's writing a single sentence in the morning, literally one sentence. That's all she has to do, just one sentence. So it's not huge. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It's just a practice. So what practice is Teresa going to? Absolutely.
She can hug her children 10 seconds longer.
She's going to hug her children. That's awesome. So she's going to have dietary fiber and she's going to hug her children. Maybe give them some dietary fiber too. So that they can get started in a great life. Okay. So the next step is, how does she know that she's on the right track? How is she going to keep track of the fact of whether or not she is making that incremental improvement today over yesterday? How will she know that she's consuming more dietary fiber and hugging her children 10 seconds longer?
Keeping a fiber journal.
Keeping a fiber journal. Okay. A fiber hugging journal. Okay. That's easy and awesome. And how is she going to share her heart song with others? How is she going to keep the love alive in her life and in her relationship, both with her physical being and her emotional being with regards to the dietary fiber and the hugs? What is going to remind her of her heart song? And I can throw this one out. Going back to the mirror idea, maybe she cuts out from red piece of paper a red heart and puts it on her mirror so that when she looks at her mirror in the morning, she sees that reminder that she is going to take care of herself through dietary fiber and love her children with hugs. And the next question is, how is she going to express her truth? How is Teresa, the guardian angel, going to share her story so that it makes a difference not only in her own life, but also in the lives of her children and her community? And that's really, why do we share our heart song? Why do we express our truth? Why do we not just keep it to ourselves? If we just hear our heart song, isn't that good enough? Irma, why are you sharing your heart song?
I hope that I could help someone else.
So what does Teresa, the guardian angel, how is that helping other people when she is increasing her dietary fiber intake and her amount of hugs? It's too powerful to keep to ourselves. Absolutely. Yes. So maybe
she's a mirror, whatever you decide and how you live your life, when you come across someone else, you're a mirror to them. They might see something they want to be, or they experience, or they recognize, and it might be something that helps them.
Yes. So that 1% incremental improvement not only is improving her life, but is also improving her family's life and her community's life, such that everybody is better off because of what she's doing, correct? All right.
And she's showing her children that they can do this too.
Yes. And having that, as Don Hansey shared this morning, in creating that legacy that will extend for 500 years, it happens because of the little choices we make today that have ripple effects going forward. So one of the things that happens often when we keep to our plans and we do these little incremental improvements, 500 years of fiber and hugs. That's a lot of fiber and a lot of hugs. But at times it can get really old. It's like, oh my gosh, another hug. I'm just going to kind of go through the motions and I'm not going to really give myself to this. And I'm sick of dietary fiber. I'm not going to do this any longer. How can, instead of seeing, oh my gosh, the same old, and who's ever has been there, anybody else ever feel like, oh my gosh, same old, and I just can't do it one more time. I can't eat another single, huge salad for lunch. I'm sick of this dietary fiber. So how does Teresa, the guardian angel, see the blessings in life? How does she keep the promise alive and see infinite possibilities with what she's doing? How can she express gratitude for the improvements and see gratitude for the improvements that she is realizing?
She grows her own fiber.
Grows her own fiber. Wow.
And then she really appreciates it then.
Absolutely. Because she's involved in the process. Okay. So the last step is what fulfills me, what fulfills Teresa the guardian angel. So when Teresa the guardian angel has given lots of hugs, she's been really good at growing and consuming her dietary fiber. And like Krista just shared in the chat, that it's the daily grind that can get us down. You know, it can seem like, oh my gosh, I can't just do this one more time. But when we can get in touch with why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, it's not just another hug. It's not just another dietary fiber intake. It's the bigger purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is Teresa keeping in mind that helps her to see the bigger picture and to see that that her steps are that she wants to do this because it's bigger than the dietary fiber. It's bigger than the hugs. It's a mission that she is on in order to create a happier world, a world where people feel good about themselves and feel good about their children and feel good about the people that they're around. So when we follow these 7 principles of prosperity, we keep the dream alive. We keep the heart song playing within our hearts. And it does take work. There are times when we get to the point and it's like, oh my gosh, this daily grind is driving me crazy. I just can't do it one more day. But if we step back and get back in touch with why we're doing it, the big picture of why it's important and what we want to share with others, then not only does our sense of self-worth increase, but also the value that we are sharing with the world increases, that the impact that we are having in the world increases because we are being true to the mission that we are on in order to make this world a brighter place, in order to make a world of difference. And so my invitation to you is to take your story from coal dust to diamonds, to take your story from a place where maybe it feels like the daily grind, and instead see the beauty in the story, see the joy in the journey, and see the difference that you're making in other people's lives so that they can have, as I like to say, so that you can be the bright light in someone's dark night. It is my hope and my intention and my purpose to be that bright light in someone's dark night so that whoever might get to that low point that I was at, where I felt like my story was worthless and my family was better off without me, that person sees their true worth and sees who they really are and sees the impact that they really make in this world, so that we can all make this world a better place. And that the 1.5 million people who are struggling with thoughts about suicide on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, find hope in their dark nights, that recognize that they are not alone and that they truly are worthy. They truly have incredible worth and that their story matters, that we can help keep those stories alive so that we can make that 500-year impact that we are invited to make. So, does anybody have any questions?
No, that was a really beautiful exercise. I think we need to include that in the anthology. And for the letters. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you. Yes. When I stopped worrying about what my bank account or what my neighbors said about my worth and started instead to live from the inside out, as I think Kate said earlier today, my life transformed. I went from severely depressed, dangerously depressed, to just loving every single day. And that the daily grind stopped being a daily grind because I loved the work that I am doing. And I want that for everybody. There's enough pain in the world. Let's make it a beautiful place. And the pain to be, as I realized, pain is really possibilities appearing in negative. That if you think about the old 35 millimeter cameras and their film strips, and how when you looked at that, the negative in that roll of film, that it looked the opposite of what it would look like when you developed it. That pain is a mirror image of what is on the other side of that pain. So I invite all of you to listen to your heart song, and we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with another excellent presentation, some more heart songs to be sung, and also some lovely laughter yoga that happens at 5 o'clock Eastern. Thank you all for being here. And I hope you all get some excellent self-care, some excellent rest, and take a little bit of dietary fiber.